The Couture 303 Podcast with J Viper.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by Killer Bee Tattoo Studio in Litherland Road, Bootle. Specialising in custom design since 2014, pop in or ring for a consultation anytime. Want 10% off your first sitting? Just tell a receptionist you listen to this episode of the podcast. Full address and postcode, telephone number and links to all socials can be found in the description below. Right, so sat beside me today is one of the most technically gifted and well-respected DJs in Liverpool, Mr. Rob Cain.
Thanks, Jay. That was nice.
Well, you know, gotta butter you up and keep you sweet, you know what I mean? So how have you been, mate?
Shocker, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely rams, yeah. All the clubs in Liverpool are playing and then a load of events and stuff like that. So I've just got loads of stuff always just happening. And then I'm teaching music technology, DJing and stuff for Mode Training 2 days a week as well. Then doing all the production stuff and the ghost productions I do for people. And I'm just shocking, mate. I get like a day a week to myself, which I spend with my wife, and that's it. That's all. Other than that, mate, I'm just rammed all the time, which is good.
We'll get on to that in a little bit. So starting right from the beginning, give us a little bit about background, where you grew up and how your school life was and stuff like that.
I'm from Crosby. I'm a posh kid. I say I'm a posh kid. We lived in a big house in Blundell Sands, but my mum and dad...
You're not posh.
I know, yeah, that's scary, aren't I? But my mum and dad were skint, so we lived in this big house, but we had no dough. I started getting into like house music and rave music back in about 1993, 94. 93 it was. Went round to my mate's house. He had the box television. You remember the box? And you select the music videos. Prodigy Out of Space was playing one day, and I was like, nice. What is this? What is this magic? Just become obsessed with it. Got into Stu Allen, got into hardcore, and that just led on to me, because I was always into like collecting music and stuff, or was collecting stuff. If it was comics or computer games or whatever I was into at the time, and I just started collecting records, not to DJ with, just because Stu Allen played it and I go, I want it. And it was different back then, because a bit of music had a bit of artwork with it, and it became an item rather than just like, now it's like an MP3, just a file sits on you. It's worthless, isn't it, really?
To be honest with you, I was going to touch on it a bit later. I mean, back when I started DJing, part of the passion was like going to town, rifling through them tunes, and sometimes you'd go and get fuck all, and it was like, you know, when you did get that one or two tunes, you'd appreciate it, and like you say, you come home, you've got that artwork.
Especially when you've got no dough. Like, we had no dough, I got a £5 pocket money, so what I bought with that £5 was fucking important to me, you know, really important.
Of course, yeah.
And me and I was best mates with Ian Redmond in school. Me and Ian Redmond from Ultra Beat. We used to just sag school every day, and go to town and look through the second-hand record shops. Oh, look at this, see what we can get for 50p or a quid or whatever, build our collections up. I was just obsessed with it, obsessed with music and that type of culture, and then that led to me going, well, I would listen to C mixes and I go, oh God, you know what, your DJ be playing something and he plays something next, and you go, oh, I fucking hate this tune. This tune's shit. I could do a better set than this, playing the tunes that I like, and that kind of made me go, well, maybe I should just be a DJ.
To be honest with you, I had the same conversation off the record with Glenn Cyanide the other week. There was a certain DJ who I seen in the Drome. I won't mention his name. I don't want to fucking lambast the lad. He did what he did, but he played really good tunes, but he was shit.
Yeah.
And I remember stood on the dance floor, like a fucking 19-year-old lad, didn't even have decks at the time, thinking, pretty sure if I had decks, I could do a better set than that. You know what? You know, his mixing was off, and then obviously, well, I know it's a bad story, like, but my nan passed away and left me some money, and my mum gave me like £1,000, and was like, and that was a lot of money back then, like, and she was like, you know, don't waste it. And I bought myself a set of decks, which, as we've just discussed off the record, I sat to my left in your studio.
Yeah, because I mean, I was DJing from about 94, but I used to just buy like I've shitheads. I had a Pro 150 and like a deck with no pitch control on it and all that, which I bought from a second-hand store. For me, I got 50 quid for my birthday. I went and bought it from a second-hand store, and it was like I had one of those ones with a mechanism and with the arm gets in the middle and it go clunk, and it'd go back to the beginning. So
that was the playlist back then.
Well, what I did is I opened it up and I snapped the mechanism out, and I put a slip mat on it, and it was just boss for scratching because it had great torque on it, and it was the slip mat just slipped dead well on it. So that's how I got good on scratching by by doing that. But yeah, I didn't have any Technics until 1998, and then our mutual mate Steve, he said Jay Viper's selling his Technics there, and my dad had just come into some dough because he was working for he was a computer game developer and producer and stuff, and artist, and he just comes from dough from some software company. So he said, "Yeah, son, there's 500 nicker there. Do you want to get yourself a set of decks?" He got my sister a karaoke machine and all that because she was into singing. He went, get yourself
the best deal out of that, like.
There they are behind us, mate. Yeah, I've had them 22 years.
Fucking hell,
24 years. Yeah, 1998. It was 24 years ago.
Yeah, so I think it was 1998 when I first heard your name and I met you again through our mutual friend Steve. It was in Labato. You were Caney back then. You weren't Rob Cain.
Caney, yeah.
I was DJ Viper and you were Caney.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and it's mad how like the music changes. Obviously back then, before bounce was a genre of music.
Yeah,
my little subtitle was the Bounce Master.
Yeah,
and I played hardcore.
Yeah,
but that's how music, things develop. And we had a night actually called the Masters of Bounce.
Yeah,
in the aquarium, and it was hardcore.
Yeah.
Before bounce was a thing, before bounce was a genre.
Yeah.
So I believe back then, I mean, I might be wrong, but you weren't actually DJing. You were just scratching. Is that right?
No, I was DJing. Yeah, I was DJing. Yeah. Initially I was just I was into the scratching, like.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened back to some of the stuff I did then, and it's pretty shit. Like, it was
I think we all do that, mate.
It's dead basic chops and chirps, but I was quite quick at them.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do any transforms or crabs or anything like that.
And what was it that got you into the scratching? Was it a certain DJ?
I was into Psy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got size and influence.
Obviously, I was influenced by Stu Allen because he was on the radio, and that was where you got your tunes from. And then Psy was the staple for me. That he was the best.
Back then, he was
vibes. Yeah, vibes was a lot more cheesy, but Psy was the one. And then I was into a bit of Gabba as well, a bit of Clarky.
Yeah,
producer and that type of stuff.
I've kind of gone down that route because obviously I think as you get older you're meant to get a bit more mellow.
Yeah,
and I've gone the other way. I started off playing hardcore back in the mid to late 90s. Then I had a gap, and when I came back I was playing like hard house, hard trance, and a bit of hard style.
I remember seeing you at the Tardy weekend.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's you and Ian were there, weren't you?
Yeah.
I was at the punter. I wasn't playing like.
Yeah, I was playing. Yeah,
I was banging into my hard house then, like, and then I had a gap of like 12, 13 years and come back because Lee Hall and John Edge, who run Back to the Dock, asked me to come back. And I said no at first, and I left it for like 12 months, and then 12 months later, I was like, well, I'll fucking do it. And then I just kind of fell into the trap of playing hardcore now, but obviously when I play Back to the Dock, it's old school hardcore, the likes of Evolution stuff, Scott Brown, all the club
bouncy techno stuff.
Yeah, bouncy techno.
That's what me and Ian Redmond were into.
Exactly, yeah, myself, I wasn't really into like the happy hardcore, so off the back of that, I got asked to play somewhere else in Birkenhead for Real Artists. Shout out to Macca for that and Dark Side. And they were like, we only play hardcore. And I was like, but we play like newer stuff. I was like, fucking hell, I don't know any newer stuff like. So I started venturing into like fucking Frenchcore and Gabba. So I've gone down the rabbit hole now.
Noise.
Yeah, like 200 BPM fucking gear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you were obviously you were playing hardcore back then. What was your big break? Because obviously I didn't speak to you for quite a while after that.
I kind of fell out of love with the hardcore stuff. Me and Steve Baker did played the Void in Stoke-on-Trent. We did that Dog's Bollocks.
I'm going to stop you there. Did you turn up at the Void with fully suited up with briefcases and glasses on?
I know I had. I was dressed up as a vicar. And like the gimmick was like we brought it. Obviously they booked us for it because we brought a coach full of people.
Yeah.
That was the be all and end all. We were just putting asses in the clubs. They didn't even listen to our demo. They weren't asked.
That was standard back then.
We brought a coach full of people, and like the gimmick was we're going to win this competition. We're going to do some mad shit, and like so Steve would be playing a tune and I'd just jump up from behind the decks dressed up with a vicar with a dog tag on and just start scratching and then just jump back down again and then just every now and then jump back up and do a
like
scratch.
Like fucking Britain's Got Talent.
It was absolutely pathetic, but that was the final nail in the coffin for that, mate, because I did that gig and I just felt like proper cheaters out of it, really, because I knew we did a good set and all that. I didn't think it was perfect by any means, but it was very obvious that the room was full when we were on because we brought other people, and then when we weren't on, everyone was in the other room.
Yeah.
But then we didn't even get a call back or anything. So
mate, I've been there myself.
And I just felt, I already knew about the hardcore scene because I'd already been doing kids gigs, the under 18s, for a long time by this point. In fact, I say a long time, but a couple of years. And we always booked Vibes and Psy and Brisk and Hixie and Sharky and people like that. And I knew it was dead clicky, really clicky. Even back then when I was a kid, because I was only 18 at this point. Yeah. I knew it was dead clicky, and I just thought, I don't want to get into this. Yeah. I've got there's a great clubbing community on my doorstep in Liverpool with music that I actually enjoy. I fell down this rabbit hole where the music was getting faster and faster, and I was just like, nah, you can't mix it.
Yeah.
I used to listen to Loft Groover tapes, and I'd put them on for 5 minutes, and I go, what the fuck am I listening to here? It sounds like the same tune for fucking 45 minutes, and it doesn't sound like he's even mixing them because you can't tell when the blend is. Yeah. It was just stupid, and the music was getting faster. I just thought, I'm out. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and it was about 98, and Ian Redmond was playing in the aquarium, and he said, do you want to come and start doing some bits with me in the aquarium? It's not paid, but you can come and just jump on with us on a Thursday night, because I'd started buying house music by this point. I was into like US house and funky house, and then like obviously the big scouse housey stuff, but at the time it wasn't really called scouse house. It was more like blended trance and hard house and European sounds and stuff like that. So I was starting buying all these records, all these tunes, and he was like, come down and play with us, basically because he wanted to lend my tunes. So
there's always an ulterior motive with DJs, isn't there?
So I did that. I just made the leap, and then I sold all my records. I was working at Plastic Records at the time in the Palace.
I remember that. That's how I first met Ian Redmond, actually. The ironic thing about that is, the first time I met Ian Redmond, he was a little bit like fucking starstruck to meet me. Yeah. And then fucking 5 minutes later, he's on fucking Top of the Pops.
I know. He's done well.
He's done very well for himself, yeah.
I made up for him, yeah. So I just, I flogged on my records. I was like, see you later, hardcore. I think I got 500 quid for them, which in hindsight now, I'm absolutely kick myself, because
I see bigger house material now, isn't it?
I've seen the price of them on Discogs. Like some early evolutions. It's all the Dutch stuff that I had massive amounts of like early Mochums and all that type of thing, and like you just go for Brewsters now on Discogs, just stupid money, and I'm like, even the Scott Brown stuff is worth loads or so, and do you remember Jolly Roger Records, all that type of stuff,
Coco's March and
Euro Groove, all that type of stuff. So I sold all that, and it was and that was the end of that for me, for the hardcore scene, and I just jumped into this thing that was bubbling in Liverpool. It was called Scouse House, but it later became bouncy house and bounce, but back then it was whatever Lee Butler was playing in the 051, and that's what really inspired me. So I was into Lee Butler, John Cotton, Steve McGee, Pez Tellett, and all these other local lads, Dave Graham as well, a little bit. He was more funky house, but these were all the people that influenced me at the time, and that's where my passion for that type of music came from. And then I was, as I looked outwards, I was buying all these tunes that they were playing, I was realising, like, you look at the record sleeves and you realise they're all made in Holland or Germany, and then my obsession just became, I went to Dutch house, I was into what the Dutch lads are making, the club heads and people like that. We were all my mates now, like I speak to them and stuff online. We've booked them for gigs and stuff. So that was what really got me hooked in on that side of things. And I was in the aquarium, and then I was just a warm-up lad. And then I ended up upstairs in the main room, because we used to open the aquarium downstairs, bottom room first, before, and we'd play like US house and funky house stuff, and like until 12 o'clock, and then they'd open the upstairs room, and everyone would go upstairs, and then downstairs would be shit. And I'd be left there playing to no one with the bar staff. So anyway, I got promoted to upstairs, and then I got poached by I didn't get poached. I got approached by the pleasure rooms, and the pleasure room said, "Do you want to come and work for us?" I was like, "Yeah." Went to work for them on Sunday nights, and after that, I just started getting all these boss gigs in Liverpool. Like, I was doing the Arena, and then I was doing the Sunrise a little bit, and then I was doing, like, the big one for me was I got booked for the 051. I can't remember what year it was. It must have been 1999. It was like a bank holiday Sunday, 1999. It was a lad called Will Rogers who used to put like these big, he used to call them the big time ball. That's what he used to put them on the 051 or the Sunrise on a bank holiday Sunday, and he got 2,000 people turn up.
Wow.
And it was a big deal, because the lads on the Saturday lane and all that were always going, oh, fucking hell, he's always taking numbers of us on the Saturday before the bank holiday. So they weren't happy about it, but like it was a good gig to play. So he used to pay me for fucking pennies. He used to get 50 quid for it or whatever. But he stuck me on last one night. And I remember the club being full when I went on, and like everyone was going, oh, everyone's going to fuck off now to the pleasure rooms and the sunrise. And I was like, we'll fucking see about that. And, I
Challenge accepted.
Played the set of my life, absolutely Charlie's out of my head. And I remember looking at 3 o'clock, the lights come on, and there was still 2,000 people in the club, and I thought, done a good job there. And pretty much after that, all the gigs in town just used to fly through to me. I was getting regular bookings in 05, and that was a big deal for me. We used to do little bits and bobs in the Buzz as well for my mate Alan Holt. He was like our best mate and our mentor at the time.
I used to work with Alan Holt. He used to work with me in Goodrich. Shout out to Alan Holt.
Yeah. Shout out to Holty. I've not seen him. I've not seen him in years.
Yeah, I haven't.
Last time I seen him, I hadn't seen him for about 10 years, and he looked the fucking same as he did 10 years before. He didn't even have any grey hair.
Yeah, hasn't he got any taller either, has he?
He's never going to get any taller. He's still like 5 foot nothing. Yeah. But yeah, so that really opened the doors for me then, and then the pleasure rooms thing really took off. Yeah. Like it was like the pleasure rooms was massive. We were flying all over the fucking place to play for the pleasure rooms, like doing these tours in Spain and Scotland and all over the UK. And because of that, I ended up getting some stuff for Wigan Pier and Maxime's. And yeah, the Wigan Pier thing really made me global, because I was in the end, like when Welly left. DJ Welly left to go to live in Australia. Wigan Pier called me up and went, do you want to come be a resident for us? And I was like, I'd love to. And he went, well, you can't play anywhere else. And I went, well, I'm looking at my diary and I've got 10 gigs this weekend, so fuck off. So, I mean, in hindsight, it was, I mean, nowadays, if you look what the Wigan Pier thing is now, it's really big and stuff. But at the time, I thought, it's not worth it. I was doing all these big Bounce Heaven shows and playing to I was playing to like probably 100,000 people most weekends. It's ridiculous. Some crazy, of them just nuts. And I was flying all over the world, going to Russia, Poland, Spain, France, doing all these mad gigs.
Where did it all go wrong?
Well, it didn't go wrong. With the bounce scene, right? What happened was it a lot of the producers, like the big producers who were making the music when it was like still Scouse House, were like people like Hypersonic Squad, who sadly passed away. He just stopped making and started making hardcore. Then we had a guy called Paul Roberts, who was a guy called Quadrasonic, and he just fucked it off, didn't want to do it no more. And obviously the big one is Mike DeScala, who went on to be Recon in the hardcore scene, but most famously he's now Campbell Fat. And he just, when he stopped making music, everyone else went, fuck this. There was only Alex K left, and now Alex doesn't make it anymore either. So it's like, it was just all the really great music that was being made kind of meant that there's only a few producers making it, myself included. I had a band with a guy called Chris Clark called Total Control. We were doing lots of stuff. We were getting signed to big labels and remixing for Christina Aguilera and shit like that. Like really big stuff. And it was only really us and a couple of others, and like we couldn't sustain the scene anymore, and it just became dead stale. And I mean, the music was shit. So
what year was this, roughly?
This is we're probably talking 2000. I won a load of awards in 2007, 2008, 2009. This will be 2009. I know.
Best bounce DJ, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 3 years on the bounce.
3 years on the trot.
Yeah, 3 years on the trot. Yeah.
I'll
be honest with you, there wasn't much competition. I think it might be a bit different nowadays, but I just stood out back then. I stood out as a DJ because I was from Liverpool and I wasn't directly influenced by just bouncy stuff. I was into house and I was into hardcore and I was into all these other types of music. It meant that I could go on to play a big gig and I'd play some bouncy stuff, but I'd also play a bit of hard trance, or I'd play hard house, because I was playing stuff for tidy weekenders and shit at the time, doing tidy events. Or I'd just mix it up and I'd bang an old school tune in that was, you know, people would think it was new, but it was actually 20 years old or whatever. And so I just stood out. So it was easy to win them awards because I was diverse and interesting to listen to.
Well, that's it.
And people would always message me on MySpace and shit at the time, going, well, "What's this tune? What's that tune? What's this tune?" I go, oh, "Fuck off." Tell me none of it.
I'm gonna tell you all my fucking secrets, am I?
Yeah. So the bouncy house scene just kind of died to death a little bit in 2009. It went very, very, very like sour, and I just got bored of driving up and down the motorway. I'd be booked for a gig and like it'd be like in Edinburgh, and it's 5 hours there, and you get there and it's a fucking working men's club, and you'd be like, oh, it's in the back room and there's 200 people there, and half of them
aren't interested.
Aren't at all interested. They just want the Scottish DJs back on or whatever. And then you play, you get your 500 quid or whatever it was, whatever I'd agreed at the time, and then you travel 5 hours back, and it was just, I just felt lonely.
Yeah.
Because I was in the car with my driver, because I don't drive, in the car with my driver, and you're always dependent on someone picking you up, and that used to stress me out, because I remember a couple of times my driver never turned up because he was in a kettle somewhere. And I'd have to try arrange like someone to drive me to fucking Blackburn at like 2 a.m. It was just a nightmare. So that used to stress me out, and then I just hated being on the road. I hated being in an airport. And we'd done this did this gig in Poland, this festival, and I got booked for it. And when I did the gig was amazing, like an amazing gig, playing on like Mad Bush and Donk and stuff. It was a good gig, and what they did is that the promoters they'd done to cut costs. They'd use Skyscanner to book the flights on the way back, so I had connecting flights. So I flew from I think it was either Warsaw or Wrocław in Poland, I can't remember, and then I had this connecting flight in Switzerland. So I was in Switzerland for fucking 9 hours, just waiting for a connecting flight to take me to Manchester.
And all of a sudden, that money you got for getting an hour's work is now depreciating because it's eating into your fucking life, isn't it?
Exactly. And I was like, and the money was good, the money was probably, I don't know, fucking 1,000 quid or less, maybe a bit less. So the money was decent, but it means you're not doing any gigs the next day.
Yeah.
And I could have done 3 gigs that fucking Saturday, or Sunday, and it's just like, and just being in the airport. I remember being in the airport in Switzerland and going, looking at me in my wallet, and my pocket, I don't have a wallet of a girl's. Looking at my pocket and thinking, I've got no currency here, can't use the vending machine. My phone battery's dead. I've not got the right charger to
living
charge.
The dream.
I was just sat in this departure lounge for hours, just thinking, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there, not just DJs, I'm talking about performers, bands, artists, whatever, who say the same thing. You see this dream, this lovely lifestyle, it's very glamorous, and it's everyone thinks they want it until they encounter something like that, and then they realise it's not all it's fucking cracked up to be.
No, it never is. I mean, people only ever see the glamorous side of anything, don't they? They see what you see on the Instagram or Facebooks and the videos, and people do these video diaries. Oh, here's my exciting life, but they don't see the 25 hours you spent in the studio making a tune for
the
that.
Boredom, the monotony.
You're sitting there watching someone master your track for 10 hours, and you're like, fucking hell. All that type of shit, they just don't, they take that for granted. They think it's just, it's a superstar lifestyle, but there's a lot of shit that goes into it. And there's a lot of, and like, that's not including all the heartache you cause your family from being away all the time. All the time. I mean, what happened with me in the end was I fell out of love with the music. I didn't want to do the bouncy house thing anymore, and a mate of mine said, when you come back and play for us in town, we've got an after hours there, you can do 5 nights a week playing house music. And I was really getting back into house music. I mean, I played US house and funky house stuff earlier anyway. It was big. I used to do Bar Red in 2002, which was a big funky house club in Liverpool. Well, big little club, funky house club in Liverpool. So I was really into that sound anyway. And he said, come back and play for us, we'll pay you a nickel a week. And I was like, fucking sold, mate. I don't have to get in a car ever again. I can go get pissed. Me mates can come and see me. If I want to get off my head, I can. If I want to get the train home or the train in, I can get a taxi home. And like, so it was just that easy for me. And I was excited by the music. So the bouncy house thing, and I did a farewell gig with Wigan Pier. They threw a gig for me, quite emotional, like, but and what year was that? That must be 6 years ago now. 6 years ago, and that was that. Yeah. And I just said ta to it. Now I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is your DJing and music production's your full time job. How did lockdown affect you then? Oh mate, it was shocking. It was bad. We were in the middle of buying a house at the time. Self-employed man living in a. What happened was our landlord went to Nick for something I won't disclose. You're probably best not. No, our landlord went to Nick, so he was in prison. And we were trying to buy the house off him while he was in Nick, but the CPS wouldn't release the property. And we had a mortgage in place, and then lockdown hit, and then the mortgage ran out. So we were just living in this house, and then the CPS come back and went, you've got to buy it within the next 6 weeks, otherwise we're going to give him another 5 years in prison. Jesus Christ. And so we went, we can't, because our mortgage ran out 14 weeks ago. I've not worked for 14 weeks. And they went, well, let's get out there. So we'd lived there 10 years. My kids were born there. We got married in the garden. It was a bit of a shitstorm, really. So, and like, I mean, thankfully I was still working for Mode Training, but we were doing online sessions with our students and stuff. So we were doing all stuff via Zoom. So we still had an income coming in, but not enough to warrant buying a 250 grand house.
I think the lockdown affected a lot of people in the same way, but it also opened up people's creativity. I know myself having 8 hours a day, not being in work.
I'll be honest with you, I was churning out a track a day at the time. Loads of it still unreleased, loads of it, but I was just unable every single day. And because that's what we teach as well. So I was just like making tracks with people online and then just going, fucking hell, that's all right, I'll finish that off myself.
So tell us a little bit about your teaching. Have you got any success stories, or how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, Mode Training is like, it's basically just like a college, but they specialise in like hairdressing and music and maths and makeup and stuff like that. The music department's relatively fresh. I think it's the newest department they've got. And they approached me about 3 years ago, said, because I used to teach for the Pleasure Rooms DJ Academy, and I used to do some stuff with Ian Redmond, because Ian Redmond had a DJ school years ago.
He asked me to join that.
First Base. Yeah.
So, I mean, at the time, he asked me to join it today to teach scratching.
Yeah. Well, that's what he wanted me to do. But
I was thinking, why the fuck's he asking me?
Yeah, I mean, I was just, at the time Ian was doing all that, I was just absolutely wild. I was on one knee, and not long met my wife, and me and my wife love a party, like, so we were off on one, so we couldn't count on me to do it probably. So I had experience anyway. They were like, do you want to come and, Les Calvert messaged me and went, do you want to come and have a word, chat with us? And I was like, yeah, cool. I didn't need the money. It wasn't about the money. He said, do you want to come and do it? And I was like, yeah, what type of students are they? Because there's loads of kids, I'm not really interested in one. He went, no, it's all 19 plus.
Okay.
People who want to be there, who want to learn about music, who want to learn about DJing and want advice and guidance from people actually in the industry. And I was like, that sounds perfect. I'd like to give something back.
Of course, it must be unearthly rewarding as well when you see someone blossom.
We've got a couple of students who've done really well. One of them, a girl called Kate, female. She's playing with people like Sam Devine. And
are you allowed to say female?
Yeah, of course you are.
You sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Is she not going to be offended? Is she?
No, I don't think so.
Are they? So can we
no, we know we can.
She and
I don't know. Fuck all that shit, mate.
It's a bit fucking weird, isn't it?
Yeah. She's doing really well. She's playing with Shalado and people like that. So, and then we've had loads of dong producers come through. My mate Alan Barwise started with us as well just before lockdown. He's made like 300 tunes since he started. Loads of them going on all the major donk download sites and stuff, putting his own events on. There's loads of people. There's loads of people who've been through, and obviously like me and Les Calvert have got like history in the city, so they're dead inspired. They come in and go, if they don't know me and the Pleasure Rooms and that type of side of things, they know Les Calvert and Garlands and Society, and then all the 3-beat connections, because me and Les both worked in 3-beat for a bit, and so most people come in, they go, oh yeah, we know these guys. Yeah. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and so, you've got that feeling of like I can't think of the name, but there's familiarity. That's the word.
That's right.
You've got that familiarity. Obviously, people who come into the shop and see your face and obviously they've seen your name about and stuff.
I'll tell you what the interesting part thing as well, even the young ones who come through, it's not always them who know who they are, but their mums and dads know us.
Well, I had the flip side of that the other week. I was in Birkenhead and the fucking doorman said to me, can I get a picture? Well, yeah, of course can, mate. A bit fucking weird, like maybe he's fucking gay or something, I don't know. Anyway, he gets his camera out and takes a picture and he went, oh yeah, she'll be made up. And I went, who's that, mate? He went, my daughter. I took a little look at him. He was like fucking my age. I went, how old's your daughter? He went, 17. I thought, fuck off. How the fuck does your 17-year-old daughter know who I am? Yeah. It's fucking mad. And it's people that you don't realise what's going on behind the scenes. Like you said, for you, it's not them, it's the mums and dads. Fucking hell, I remember about 10 years ago.
I had this conversation with Lee Butler not so long ago. And he was like, we were talking about why there's so many young people at the Reminisce gigs and all these gigs that me and him play, or Lee puts on and I play for them. And it's because the parents
I've drummed it into them.
I've been listening to these 051 tapes, and Pleasure Rooms tapes and stuff, and had the Pleasure Rooms on the radio when their kids have been little kids running around in their nappies, and they've been brought up listening to this music. We just take for granted that these young people don't know any of these tunes, but it's been drummed into them in the same way that
we got listened to fucking Slade, Gary Glitter,
it was all like the Who and people in ours, like my mum was into Fleetwood Mac and stuff, so we know all that
exactly,
shit, you know.
It's
the same type of thing.
Of course it is.
But you just take it for granted. You don't realise that music's so important to so many people in so many different ways, and like
music's the closest thing we get to actual real magic. It really is. It can transport you back to a time you thought you'd forgotten. Well,
that's it. I mean, you can see me in my studio now. You can see me like my records. I can pull a record out off that shelf, random one, play it, and I'd instantly remind me of a particular room.
A time you heard that.
I remember this room that I was playing in when I was playing this tune, and the people I was with, and how many Garys I'd had. You know.
So Reminisce. You playing Reminisce this year?
Every year I play Reminisce. Yeah. I was. I do the stage management for the club band tent, or I was doing. I'm probably going to drop it this year because it's a lot of stress and aggro for me, but and it's hard work, and I've got 3 other gigs on that day, so I don't know if I've got the time to do it, but usually I run the arena for them, and it's a fucking long old day.
I can imagine. Again,
and it's stressful.
People don't see that side of it. They just see the glamour.
People turn up and they're there to have a party, and you've been there since 10 o'clock in the morning, and I've been in work till 6 o'clock the night before. I've had 2 hours kip, and I've come straight to the festival site, and I'm walking around up and down the hill for 12 hours in the rain sometimes and the mud. And people are going, where's my drinks tokens? What time am I on? What time's this person on? Can you bring this act on? Can you make sure there's water on the stage? Can you do this? Can you do that? Blah, 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 blah. Can you make sure no one's dying at the front of the stage? And all this other crap. And like, it's a long out day. For me, the relaxing part is when you get on the decks and DJ for a little bit.
That's a bit of freedom, that isn't it? So back to the decks, and obviously the 1210s are over there. How did you find the transition from vinyl to digital?
Dead easy. Vinyl, as much as I love it, you can see I've still got all my old club tunes on record of 10,000 tunes in here or whatever it is. It's just not fun to carry around, is it?
There's so many. I mean, I know there's a lot of people, and we discussed one before. Again, a mutual friend of ours who's adamant that vinyl's the king, and listen, there's something. There's a pleasure you get from vinyl. There really is. Yeah. But there's too many drawbacks. It's heavy. They warp. They scratch. They get fluff on the needle. You get a fat bird on the fucking stage dancing. Your fucking needle skips.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty glad to see the back of it, if I'm honest, because I remember one Christmas, I've been playing the aquarium, and it was Christmas Eve, and it was snowing, and we couldn't get a taxi. I was walking back to Alan Holt's house, who lived on Vauxhall Road at the time, which is just outside Liverpool. I had 2 flight cases with me full of tunes, and I had to
heavy as fuck.
I had to carry them for a mile in the snow, and I remember getting to Vauxhall Road and my arms feeling like an orangutan, and I was just like, "This ain't fun."
Yeah.
And the CDJs had just come out at the time. The CDJ 1000 just come out, and I was like, "Fuck it, let's just go for it."
It opens up so many possibilities. I mean, again, you're even more so than myself, quite a creative DJ, and quite technical. The stuff you can do now on digital, you'd have to have a room full of equipment to do that back in the day.
It wouldn't be possible to do half the stuff. Yeah. You can't. I'm big on the loops and the acapellas and all that type of stuff, and it'd just be impossible. You can mix in key. It tells you the key, your tracks, you're mixing in key, everything's perfect. I'm a big advocate of not pressing the sync button, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But you can get it pretty close without pressing the sync button anyway.
So the thing with the sync button,
the thing for the sync button for me is, I play quite long sets nowadays. I do between 6 and 8 hours some nights.
Yeah.
And if I press the sync button, I'd be bored fucking shitless.
Yeah.
I'd be bored shitless. I wouldn't want to play for that long. Just press and play.
There's quite a stigma with the sync button, but for me personally, I don't use the sync button. But I'll tell you what I do use. I use the on-screen display.
I do, yeah.
So when it says 160 BPM, 0.5, guess what? I'll move them. So
it's logical, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Why would you make your life any harder than it needs to be?
Well, this is the thing, you see. People think that because it's easier, that it's not as good. And as we discussed before, these people use washing machines and have cars with power steering and use pens and don't use fucking feathers with fucking inking and stuff like that,
exactly.
Does he? So obviously you've had quite an illustrious career. You've been up and down the world, all around the world, up and down the country. Is there anyone that who's the best person you have played with Is there anyone that you got a bit starstruck when you met them? Or?
I don't get starstruck at all. I'm just not asked. I mean, we see famous people and famous DJs all the time. Yeah. All the time. And my parents always like, do you want to get a photo? I'm like, fuck off. I mean, we've been in parties and there's been like Quentin Tarantino there and shit like that. You know
Shut the fuck off.
I mean, it's all that mad shit. Like,
where was that?
In town.
Tarantino was in town.
Yeah.
Fucking
he was in a film. Samuel L. Jackson the same. When he was filming 51st State in Liverpool.
That's right, yeah.
They were all partying in town. Mad. But yeah, loads of DJs. I'm just not asked by any of them. I mean, working in 3-Beat, we used to just meet them every weekend. Pete Song would come in, Paul Oakenfold would come in, Boy George, Timo Mass, all these big massive DJs. I just meet them and I'm not asked.
Yeah. Do you still speak to the 3-Beat lads?
Yeah, I went for the 3-Beat 10-year meal.
Actually, I've seen that. I've seen the photo on Facebook.
Yeah. Ian Kane and Steve Parry and all the other lads. Yeah.
I'm hoping to sit down with Steve Parry next week. He's just come back from Australia.
Yeah. He's when we lived in our old house, he was our neighbour. He lived over the road from me. I've known Steve for a long time. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Good guy. He's and he's dead knowledgeable as well about his music and stuff.
So what are your current residencies now?
At the minute, I do 4 nights in a after hours called Aura. It used to be the old Bar Red on Slater Street. I do there. We open at 12 o'clock and we close at 6 in the morning.
And you're on all night?
Me on all night. Well, yeah, we have guests on as well, like, but yeah, I'm the resident there. And I also do 54, which is probably the best club in town at the minute, I think. Yeah, by a mile.
And what about your music production? What have you got lined up at the moment?
Loads of stuff. Loads of music coming out all the time. At the minute, I've been dead slack with sending me demos out because I'm like that. I do stuff. I make 100 tunes and I'll go, yeah, I'll just play them for a little bit and then I don't play them either. when I should just go fuck off and send them out send emails out. So I've got a remix of Piano Man's Blade coming out. I think that's getting released on vinyl as well. And then I've got some stuff coming out on Toolbox. And then some other stuff that's due in the pipeline. I don't know yet. I don't know.
So what was the early stage of your music production? How did you start getting into it?
Well, as I said earlier, I was in a band with a guy called Chris Clark who we had a group called Salt Control and like 100 other different aliases. We used to come with an alias every week and release vinyl and shit, you know. So back when you could get money off vinyl sales. So I was going to Chris's and he's like a wizard, absolute wizard on the production side of things, and he was using Acid Pro, which is a pretty archaic DAW by today's standards. We were making music for a few years, and I was sitting with him and just watching what he was doing. So I took that home and started having a go myself. And then a couple of years ago, well, I've been on Ableton now about 8 or 9 years, I think. Yeah, about 9 years ago, moved over to Ableton.
So you went from Acid Pro to Ableton. You didn't go like via the Fruity Loops or the Cubase.
Have you ever used Ableton?
No.
You should.
I know. I hear this all the time off Steve Baker.
You should, you know. Honestly, I know you're a Fruity Loops guy, but it's becoming very, 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 very apparent which is better.
Yeah.
Seriously.
See, I mean, for my level,
there's stuff you can do in Ableton that you couldn't have dreamed of doing 15 years ago. You just couldn't.
I haven't touched FL Studio since.
No,
I think it's about November. I got into it last year. Did a couple of tracks. Did a couple of remixes. Got one featured on Amber D's demo drop, and she was very complimentary. I was fucking a little bit starstruck by that. She
sounds Amber, doesn't she?
Yeah, she was complimentary of my track. Like I said, I'd only been doing it for 4 or 5 months at that point, but I'd done a few online tutorials and picked some stuff up. But I haven't been there for a long time, mate. I've got fucking, I'm not as busy as yourself, but I've got a full-time job as well, so I've got bits going on. So I'm going to finish off with some quick fire questions, Rob.
Go ahead.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Fish fingers or chicken nuggets?
Chicken nuggets.
Boxing or MMA?
MMA.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Cocaine or ecstasy?
Cocaine.
Breaking Bad or Ozark?
Breaking Bad.
Apple or Samsung?
Apple.
Tomato ketchup or mayonnaise?
Tomato every time.
Even on chips?
Yep.
Ooh. Big tits or a nice ass?
Oh, ass.
Brandy or whiskey?
Oh, fuck off. I can't drink either of them anymore. Brandy gives me the... Brandy used to be my tipple.
I'm going to have to push you for an answer.
Oh, Brandy.
Iron Man or Batman?
Batman.
Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
The Simpsons or Family Guy?
Oh, Family Guy.
Vinyl or digital?
Digital.
Rob, thank you very much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks,
Thank you
Jay.
very much. Take care.
The Couture 303 Podcast with J Viper.